Professor historian Larry Berman met Phạm Xuân Ẩn in July 2001, but until 2003 did Mr. Ẩn agree to let Berman write about his life. Larry Berman used to ask why Ẩn never wrote diary and received the answer that Ẩn doesn't want his secrets to have an effect on those alive and relatives of the past. Berman spent 4 years altogether from 2003 to 2006 to write the book Perfect Spy. He made over 20 trips to Vietnam to gather information and talk to Phạm Xuân Ẩn, interview Ẩn college, friends and family. Each time he spent 2 weeks in Vietnam and made use of time to talk to Phạm Xuân Ẩn. Both he and Phạm Xuân Ẩn knew that there was not much time left because at that time Ẩn was very weak.
In the 3 years that you spent with him, that was collecting information, but the total time that it took to write the book, how long was that?
It took me a year to write, a year and a half to really write the book. I went through a first draft. I circulated it confidentially to my friends. I had then follow-up interviews I had to do. And then I just didn't come here to Vietnam to interview I came here to interview members of his network, his intelligence network, Mai Chi Ta, Tu Kang, others, his courier, Win Thi Ba. So all of this took time and then translation and all the like.
Very thorough process for you then to do the fact-checking kind of.
And very intense, especially in the United States where I had to go to many archives because I discovered Phạm Xuân Ẩn in archives all across the United States, in California at the Hoover Institution, in Wisconsin. No, letters, primary source materials. For example, his closest friend in Vietnam was Robert Chaplin, the Far East correspondent for the New Yorker. And when Chaplin died, all of his personal papers and effects were deposited in Wisconsin. And I went out there, and there I found all of Chaplin's reporters' notebooks in which he interviewed as a source from 1960, 62, 63, 68, 73, 75 on subjects like the coups, the Americanization of the war. Chaplin's notebook on asking how did the VC infiltrate into Saigon in the 1968 Tet Offensive, and the man who had planned it and the man who had actually designed the entryways, telling Chaplin, well, this is how they did it, this is how they did it, because the key to being a good spy was being an even better reporter, having a perfect cover. No one could ever suspect him. So he was actually a great source.
There's a wealth of information in the United States itself. Now, you mentioned that you traveled to Vietnam about 20 times to meet with Mr. Ẩn, General Ẩn. After that, was there any more traveling for you to get more information, like total, to do this entire book? How many times did you travel?
Probably about 22 times altogether. Ẩn died. I was in the United States. I did not come for the funeral, but I did come about 2 months later. And I met with his wife and his son, and I was at a crucial stage of trying to finish the book. Ẩn never wanted to see the book until it was done, so Ẩn never saw the book.
You interviewed his wife and his son, and he managed to play this incredible double life, as you say, for 20-some years. How secret was it to his family?
That's a great question, and the answer most people find very interesting. His wife certainly knew about it, but not when they got married. She actually assisted him in when he was write his reports, and she would sometimes stand guard and make sure things were okay. And she, of course, her other job was to make sure that the family life was all normal so that he could carry out his mission.
How much did he divulge to you? How much he really shared with her?
He shared quite a bit with her. The children knew nothing. The children knew nothing. Well, the children were young. And the children knew nothing about their father until he was made a hero in 1978. Until that time, the children did not know. The children were evacuated with, An's cover was so perfect that as Saigon was falling in April of 1975, An sent his wife and his 4 children to the United States. They lived they went through processing at Camp Pendleton. They lived with all the other Vietnamese refugees in California, and they settled in Virginia. The children went to Patrick Henry High School, elementary school, and they thought they would never see their father and a very lonely time for An. But then there was some debate about whether or not the Politburo would send An to America to continue his mission, but it was decided that that would not happen, and he was ordered to recall his family. And as you know, and as all your viewers know, very few people, especially Vietnamese, in 1976 were trying to get back into Vietnam. And so it was a very, as soon as that happened, most of An's friends knew that there was something different about him.
In the process of writing the book and speaking to Phạm Xuân Ẩn, you also talked to the other members of his intelligence team, which was H63, is that right? Can you tell me a little bit about those meetings that you had with his colleagues?
But they were very valuable. The members of 863, they took me up to Cu Chi, and they took me on a river trip along the Mekong, and they showed me where they would meet on. They showed me their secret little rendezvous places. They took me into the forest to show me where to the old house that is still there, that was their VC safe house. And they explained to me the entire system and how they would rendezvous with An, and how the network would protect these microfilm reports of his and the like. And I got a lot of valuable information from my interviews with them and with his direct supervisor of 863, a man by the name of Tu Cang, who very, very important figure in my book, and also a very famous writer and poet himself in Vietnam. So those were all very valuable.
During the war in Vietnam, Time reporter Phạm Xuân Ẩn befriended everyone who was anyone in Saigon, including American journalists such as David Halberstam and Neil Sheehan, the CIA's William Colby, and the legendary Colonel Edward Lansdale, not to mention the most influential members of the South Vietnamese government and army. None of them ever guessed that he was also providing strategic intelligence to the Liberation Army of North Vietnam, transporting invisible ink messages to the jungle inside egg rows. His early reports were so accurate that General Võ Nguyên Giáp joked, "We're now in the U.S. war room." For more than 20 years, Phạm Xuân Ẩn lived a dangerous life, and no one knew it because he was a master of both his jobs. After the war, Ẩn was named a hero of the People's Army and promoted to general, one of only 2 intelligence officers to ever achieve that rank.